Philip says to Jesus, Lord, let us see the Father, and then we shall be satisfied. Let us see the Father. All about seeing in the first reading and in the Gospel. There are two kinds of seeing. One with the physical eyes and the other with the spiritual eyes. The second one is more of an intuition, an understanding. You see physically first, then your mind tells you something about what you have seen. Philip and James, both apostles, like the other 12, like all their friends, they could live with the Lord 3 years, walk with Him and eat with Him and have His company and witness all the miracles. They were lucky, weren't they? Are we any less lucky than they were? Think about it. Here, Philip and James, they could see the Lord so closely and witness everything with their physical eyes. But the spiritual eyes opened later. The spiritual eyes opened later. Their understanding of the Lord happened later. After the resurrection, after the Pentecost, they could look back and see the whole picture. The message for you and me is, do we have spiritual eyes to see the truth in the life, in the death, and the resurrection of Jesus? Do we see our life in a different light? In other words, do we see, is it too much darkness or light everywhere? Do you have some clarity about the meaning of your life, the purpose of your life, and the end of your life? Can you see far ahead? You need spiritual eyes. With an example, I'll make it very clear. A friend of mine was telling me some time ago that he could not go to Mass on a Sunday because he wasn't well. I asked him, you mean you didn't go to Mass because you are not well? And you are speaking about as if you committed a sin? I asked him, when you are not well, you are not supposed to go to Mass. You're supposed to take it easy and get better and then go to Mass. Then he said, the way I see is different. The way I see is different. What does he mean? For that person, sadly, he is seeing, oh, mortal sin, no Mass on Sunday. Forget about my illness, no Mass on Sunday. Oh, mortal sin, I have been taught like this from my childhood. You have to go to Mass, you miss the Mass, eternal fire and eternal damnation in hell forever. You see? What kind of understanding? You see, the persons, I said, sees things in a different way, but what a very pathetically poor understanding of his faith. It applies to you and me. We may have all the catechisms right, all the teachings of the church right, everything, but the essential meaning of what we believe, we may miss it. In other words, like the Lord telling Philip, he said, 3 years, Philip, you have seen all these things. You didn't miss any of the action. any of my words. I've been teaching you all the time, all the miracles, all the everything. And still you say, you want to see the face of God? Then what have you been looking at all the time? Your physical eyes haven't helped you with your spiritual understanding. It can happen to you and me, my dear friends. Having the right understanding is the most important thing. What you see in the life of Jesus, in the death of Jesus, in the resurrection of Jesus, what you see in the whole gospel, the face of a merciful God, a loving God, a tender, kind, compassionate God, the one who calls you friends, the one who is ready to wash your feet. And so still are you afraid of going to hell? You think you have to go to Mass on a Sunday when you are not well? Or do you see things in a different way? It's not about the day. It's not about going to Mass. It's only about believing in Jesus and having a relationship with Him. May I say it again? It's not about going to Mass, not about going to confession, not about receiving any of the sacraments. Oh, you may get it wrong. I'm saying it very clear. It's not about receiving the sacraments. It's all beyond that. It's all beyond that. Faith is beyond all these practices. These practices are help. Confession, Mass, all the sacraments are helping you into a deep relationship with God. But they don't necessarily help you unless you understand the meaning of all that. What is the key point is understanding Jesus, believing in Him, loving Him with all your heart and all your soul, when the rest will happen automatically.